Hi guys, it's Alex from Online Teachers UK here. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about gender in English and Russian. What you'll find is that with our languages, if you start to compare them, you'll find that it's like weighing scales. So in some aspects, Russian will be heavier and English will be lighter. And in other aspects of the language, you'll find the opposite situation. So here, this is an example of where Russian is very heavy in terms of gender. What they call grammatical gender is very important in Russian. It's a central part of the structure of your language. Whereas in English, we did have grammatical gender. Not many people know this, but we did have grammatical gender many centuries ago. But now the language has almost completely lost any features of gender. If we go back to when I was studying Russian at college, what was confusing for us as English people learning Russian was the fact that you break all nouns into three categories. So you have on, ana, and ano. So that's he, she, and it. So you would have words like stol, you would have luna, which is female, feminine, and you would have something like okno, window, which would be neuter. So our teacher asked us to write these in three columns on a piece of paper, and that was our way of learning these these nouns in Russian. But we couldn't understand. We were looking for logic. So we looked at table, stol, and we were thinking, why do Russian people think that stol is like a man? That's crazy. The table doesn't look anything like a man. Why do Russians think that the moon is somehow like a woman? That's weird. Yeah? So we were trying to find logic in this, where really we needed to accept that this is just part of the grammar of the language. It's just a way of categorizing things. And there aren't necessarily those deep associations with either something masculine, feminine, or neuter with those nouns in the categories in Russian. So what Russians find difficult in English is then that this complexity in Russian, the he, she, and it in all nouns, is often just translated into English as it. So what for a Russian is very important in gender, for an Englishman is not important. This also extends to very extreme examples, like with a baby. So Russians might be horrified by the fact that in English, if we don't know the gender of a very small child, we could for some time refer to that child as it. So it's not a very nice thing to do, calling a human being it, but it's possible in English if we don't know whether it's a boy or a girl. One of the problems that some of our students came face to face with was with the difference between drug, podruga, and how that translated into English, and trying to distinguish those. So obviously the Russian is interested in maintaining this very strict difference between masculine and feminine, whereas the English word friend is like on Facebook, where you have friends, you have друзья, and it's just a neutral word. Friend in English doesn't have masculine or feminine associations, so a friend could equally be male or female. So how do you distinguish? So let's say that I went to the cinema last night with my friend, and you were interested in finding out whether that was drug or podruga. I could say, I went to the cinema with my friend Mary, or I went to the cinema with my friend John. So there, by the person's name, you would know whether that was drug or podruga. In British English, I would avoid the use of girlfriends. It has associations with being in some kind of romantic relationship, even if you are a girl or a woman and you're talking about your podrugi. In American English, it is more acceptable. So I think that that's okay in American, but in the UK it would definitely be strange. Similarly with kot and koshka in Russian, you're very interested in whether it is a male cat or whether it's a female cat. In English, again, we're not particularly interested in that. So we could get round it by saying my cat, Jack, for example, to indicate the gender of the cat. Or we could be very specific and we could say a tomcat, which is the literal translation of kot, or pussycat, which is the literal translation of koshka, although that's quite unusual. As I said, English people are just not that interested in the gender of nouns. Some notable exceptions, interesting exceptions in English, are with the use of the she pronoun. Often this comes in personification of possibly animals or objects, which is the process of making them seem human. An obvious one would be pets, so your favourite cat, your favourite dog. You could refer to that animal as he or she to show that you love them. Equally, you could refer to them as it, but he or she would suggest a close relationship, a lot of love for that particular object or animal. Another interesting one is countries, so you could say something like America and her allies. Another one is what we call boy toys. I categorise these as things that men go crazy about, apart from women. Cars, if you had a very nice sports car that you bought the other week, you could say, well, what do you think of my sports car? Isn't she a beauty, right? So you could refer to her as she. Boats, yachts, ships, aeroplanes, any kind of big transport, guitars possibly if you're a guitar player like myself, computers if you're into your IT. All of those things are quite possible. We could refer to those as she. We wouldn't refer to them as he. It would be the she pronoun. Okay, well I think that's all on gender. Don't forget to check out our website. It's onlineteachersuk.com. And see you very soon.